Did you know that over 5,000 items are banned from being carried on planes every year? And some of them might leave you speechless. We all know the obvious things, like weapons or liquids, but what about hoverboards or smelly cheeses? Yep, those are on the list too. And it's not just about safety. Airlines have some seriously strange rules that you probably never knew existed. In this video, we're diving into the most outrageous airline policies, from banned items to surprising dress codes, and you won't believe some of the things that are prohibited. Imagine being told you can't bring your emotional support pet, or that your baby might not even be allowed on the plane. Sounds crazy, right? Stay tuned as we reveal some of the most shocking, head-scratching airline bans that you won't find in the fine print. Trust us, after watching this, you'll think twice about your next flight. Chapter 1. Luggage Nightmare. Items you didn't know were banned. When you think of items banned from airplanes, you probably picture things like weapons or liquids over 3.4 ounces. But there's so much more to the list. Some of the most shocking bans involve common items that most people would never consider dangerous. For instance, did you know that hoverboards are banned on nearly all airlines? Despite their popularity, these self-balancing scooters have been linked to fires due to their lithium batteries. In 2016, the U.S. Department of Transportation issued a ban on them for all flights, leaving many travelers stranded without their favorite gadget. Then there's e-cigarettes. Although not widely known, they are prohibited on many international flights. The reason? It's due to concerns over their potential to explode. In 2017, an e-cigarette battery caused a fire in a plane's cargo hold, which led to stricter policies regarding these devices. Airlines like Ryanair and Qatar Airways have very clear warnings about carrying e-cigarettes. And don't even think about trying to take a selfie stick on board in your carry-on. Many airlines have outlawed them because they are considered a safety hazard. The sticks can block escape routes in the event of an emergency, and several incidents have even been reported where these gadgets were used inappropriately during flights. Another surprising ban? Duty-free alcohol. While it's tempting to grab a bottle for the road, you could be stopped at the gate if you don't follow the rules. Passengers are often unaware that, once you're on a plane, any duty-free alcohol must remain sealed in the bag it was sold in, or it could be confiscated. The reason for this is simple: airlines don't want you getting tipsy before you land. Did you know that cheese is actually banned on some flights? That's right. The strong, pungent smell of certain cheeses can trigger complaints from fellow passengers, causing airlines to ban them in an effort to keep everyone comfortable. The most notable example is durian, a fruit that's infamous for its stinky aroma. It's banned from some flights because it can clear out the whole cabin. And, surprisingly, batteries can be a problem. Airlines restrict the transport of spare lithium-ion batteries due to their fire risk. Many flights, particularly international ones, have specific guidelines on how to pack batteries properly. You'd be shocked to know that packing an extra power bank the wrong way can lead to your suitcase being flagged, or worse, delayed. Chapter 2. Mid-air mayhem. Outrageous in-flight bans. In-flight bans are just as outrageous as luggage rules, and some are downright bizarre. Take, for example, the ban on smelly snacks. Airlines like Air France have actually imposed restrictions on strong-smelling foods like garlic and fish. This is because, despite being tasty, these foods can be overwhelming for other passengers. After all, no one wants to sit next to a tuna sandwich for 8 hours, right? Then there's the policy banning sharp objects in the cabin. While this one may seem obvious, what you might not know is that airlines are increasingly banning specific types of scissors, even if they meet the 4-inch blade rule. It's all about being extra cautious after 9/11, but it's a strategy that's extended to nearly all pocket-sized tools. Airlines have also cracked down on passengers who try to take things too seriously with bizarre body piercings. In some cases, passengers with large, sharp piercings have been told to remove them. It's a small but growing trend, and one that's sure to leave you shaking your head in disbelief. Speaking of things that will leave you shaking your head, some airlines, including Emirates, have a controversial ban on choking hazards. This is a bit of a gray area, as some common objects like balloons or even popcorn have caused problems when passengers accidentally choke. So, while it's an understandable safety measure, it has caught more than a few travelers by surprise. But perhaps the most ridiculous ban of all is distracting clothing. Yep, airlines have started enforcing strict guidelines on clothing that might be too provocative or distracting for passengers. United Airlines, for instance, once turned away a teenager wearing leggings, citing the airline's dress code policy. The incident sparked huge debates about personal freedom and corporate control, yet it is still enforced by some airlines. On the opposite end of the spectrum, unusual in-flight requests have led to bans as well. There have been instances where passengers tried to bring unusual items on board for special occasions. Think of a full birthday cake or an inflatable pool. Airlines have stepped in to prevent the cabin from becoming a makeshift party venue, citing safety and space restrictions. Chapter 3. The strange case of banned clothing. Dress code rules now. Let's talk about fashion faux pas in the sky. The world of airline dress codes is actually a lot stricter than you might think. We all know about the infamous incident with United Airlines and the leggings controversy, but did you know that some airlines have rules about even basic attire? For example, Qatar Airways has a strict policy against flip-flops, citing that they do not meet the level of sophistication required for passengers flying with them. It's not about comfort, it's about image. Then there's no shorts, yes, shorts, on many international flights. Airlines like Emirates don't allow men to wear shorts on certain routes, especially when flying to countries with more conservative dress codes. It's an effort to respect local customs and avoid making travelers feel uncomfortable upon arrival. On the other hand, in tropical destinations, airlines may enforce rules against wearing overly revealing swimwear, even in the airports. As strange as it may sound, airlines also set rules about clothing advertisements. Some airlines, particularly those in the Middle East, refuse to allow clothing with offensive or inappropriate logos or brand names. So, if you're rocking a shirt with something edgy or controversial, you might want to reconsider it for that next flight. It's all about maintaining a certain image and ensuring everyone feels respected on board. For the fashion forward, there's also a surprising ban on too many accessories. Oversized hats, large sunglasses, and excessive jewelry can sometimes be flagged as dangerous or distracting. It's another safety measure, as these items can block emergency exits or even create a tripping hazard in a crowded cabin. Finally, don't even think about wearing something that could be deemed as offensive or political. Airlines like American Airlines have taken action against passengers who wear politically charged clothing, especially when it clashes with their code of conduct. Airlines have stated that passengers who refuse to adhere to these clothing guidelines may be asked to change or, in extreme cases, even leave the plane. If you're enjoying these shocking policies, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next crazy chapter. Chapter 4. Baby bans? Airlines taking the controversy too far. When you think of families flying, you probably picture babies peacefully sleeping in their parents' arms. But, believe it or not, some airlines have taken the controversial step of limiting how many babies can board a flight. In 2018, Air New Zealand introduced a policy to cap the number of infants allowed on certain international flights. The reasoning? To maintain comfort for all passengers, especially on long-haul journeys where space is tight. Airlines have also started to crack down on strollers at the gate. Many airlines, like JetBlue and Delta, no longer allow passengers to bring strollers all the way to the plane. Instead, you have to check them at the gate. The reason? These strollers take up precious space in already cramped cabins. As more families travel, these restrictions have caused a stir among parents who feel their comfort is being sacrificed. But the restrictions don't stop there. On some flights, you'll even find that lap infants, babies who fly without their own seat, aren't welcome unless the flight has the proper staff to accommodate them. Qantas Airways, for instance, has very specific regulations on the number of lap infants allowed on each plane. This is all in the interest of ensuring safety, as lap infants are sometimes difficult to manage in emergency situations. Surprisingly, Cathay Pacific introduced a "no kids" policy on certain flights to Japan in 2020, limiting the number of children allowed. While it's aimed at offering a quieter, more peaceful travel experience for passengers seeking a calm environment, this move sparked strong reactions. Some passengers felt that the airline was discriminating against families, while others appreciated the option for a more serene trip. Airlines are now offering a middle ground, the family-friendly cabin. For a premium price, families can book seats in a designated section where children are more likely to be, thus reducing the noise for other passengers. This policy, however, has raised eyebrows as it may further segregate families and non-families, creating division instead of inclusivity. The baby ban debate highlights how different airlines have varying approaches to family travel. While some aim to make the experience easier for families, others take a more stringent approach. Whatever side you're on, one thing is clear: traveling with young children is becoming more of a strategic decision. Chapter 5. The Price of Freedom. Airlines banning pets and service animals. Anyone who's ever traveled with a furry friend knows that airlines have complicated rules when it comes to pets. But what about service animals? It turns out that airlines have cracked down on which animals are allowed on board, and even therapy animals aren't exempt. In 2021, the U.S. Department of Transportation made it clear that airlines were no longer required to accept emotional support animals. This change came after multiple incidents where passengers brought animals that caused chaos in the cabin. According to the DOT, complaints about untrained animals, including dogs that barked or bit passengers, spiked. Airlines, such as American Airlines, responded by removing the option for emotional support animals in favor of allowing only trained service animals. However, even service animals face restrictions. Airlines like United Airlines and Delta have developed strict rules about the size and breed of service animals allowed on board. United, for instance, bans certain breeds of dogs known to be aggressive. These include pit bulls and Rottweilers. The aim is to prevent issues on flights where a service animal could pose a threat to other passengers or crew members. Interestingly, many airlines now require service animals to be pre-approved before flying. Alaska Airlines and JetBlue both request documentation proving that the animal is trained to assist with specific disabilities. This requirement helps avoid any confusion or incidents during the flight, but it also means more paperwork and time before booking your flight. Then there's the matter of the size of your pet. While some airlines allow small pets to travel in the cabin for an additional fee, they must be able to fit comfortably in a carrier under the seat. Larger pets, on the other hand, are often required to travel in the cargo hold, which can be an uncomfortable and potentially dangerous experience for your pet. According to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, traveling in the hold can be stressful, and in extreme cases, it can lead to injury or death. One of the more bizarre regulations? Some airlines, including British Airways, ban certain types of birds from flying. While it may seem odd, certain birds carry diseases that could spread, and they pose health risks to both passengers and crew. So, while it's fine to take your parrot on your travels, you'll need to ensure it's healthy before you take flight. Despite these restrictions, many travelers still bring their pets on planes. A report by Pet Relocation showed that the pet travel industry is worth over $2 billion annually in the U.S. alone. As a result, more airlines are considering pet-friendly policies to accommodate the growing demand. Chapter 6. Can you handle the truth? The dark side of airline customer service. We've all heard stories about bad customer service experiences at the airport, but some airline policies are designed to push the limits of patience. One of the most surprising strategies is overbooking. In fact, airlines regularly sell more tickets than there are seats on a plane, betting that some passengers won't show up. But when everyone does, that's when the chaos begins. In 2017, United Airlines made headlines for forcibly removing a passenger from an overbooked flight. The incident sparked worldwide outrage, with critics saying that the airline treated the customer with unnecessary force. This situation led to a significant shift in how airlines handle overbooking. Many now offer incentives for volunteers to take the next flight. On top of overbooking, there's another strategy known as the bumping policy. This occurs when airlines involuntarily deny boarding to a passenger, often offering vouchers or miles in exchange for being removed from the flight. While it might seem like a great deal, the fact is that many passengers who are bumped off flights end up stranded, missing appointments, or facing long delays. This practice is incredibly frustrating for passengers who've already paid for a seat. Even more shocking is the practice of blacklisting passengers. If you've ever been denied boarding due to an airline's decision, it's possible to get blacklisted, which can prevent you from flying with that airline in the future. Although this rarely happens, it's a tactic used by airlines to punish passengers for behavior deemed disruptive, or unruly. While these practices are frustrating for passengers, they also lead to increased complaints. In 2022, Consumer Reports reported that 30% of airline customers had encountered issues with customer service, ranging from flight cancellations to lost luggage. With the increasing number of complaints, some airlines have started offering more transparency, better compensation, and even faster response times to customer issues. Lastly, some passengers have faced the outrageous policy of being charged for basic services. In the past few years, airlines have started introducing fees for things once considered standard, like checking in at the airport. Some passengers now find themselves paying for something as basic as an aisle seat or a blanket, all in the name of extra revenue. As these strategies become more widespread, travelers are left wondering whether they're being taken advantage of or simply enduring the evolving realities of air travel. With customer satisfaction at an all-time low, it's clear that airlines need to rethink their policies to keep passengers happy, and not just their bottom line. If you found these airline policies shocking, don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping travel secrets.